Tennessee, Kentucky, round three, Sweet 16. The first two matchups, advantage Kentucky. They won in Knoxville by 5. They won at Rupp Arena by 11. Is it hard to beat a team 3 times, Cart?
Not if you're better than them.
Ken Palm would say that Tennessee is better than Kentucky. Is it hard to beat a team that Ken Palm says is better than you 3 times?
Greg, can I ask you for a sort? I would love a sort since February 25th.
You want a little sort since February 25th?
Yeah.
I
Let's
can
go a
do
month.
that. I can do
Well,
that. Let me pull my Torvik out real quick.
I think a sort will tell a different story.
Since February 25th, per Torvik.
Hmm.
Hold
Please,
on, let me make
please don't
sure
let
I'm reading this
please
correctly.
don't let this backfire. Please don't let this backfire. Please don't let this backfire.
I think it backfired really dramatically for you.
No.
Uh, since February 25th, Tennessee is the 12th best team in the country. Kentucky is the 17th best team in the country.
Okay, all right. Didn't backfire as much. Okay, we're still here. We're still very much here. I expected more out of that, but here's what I'll point to though. Um, this Kentucky team is looking, and I said it on a couple like previews and recaps and things like that. The defense has improved dramatically. It's it's not the Olay defense that it was before. And now with like Lamont Butler back, I think this team is running a little bit better, right? I think this team that is a little bit more efficient than they already are offensively. But I think that Lamont Butler having a point guard in the fold has really helped this team. And they can score a lot of different ways. Like you saw what Kobe Bryant was able to do against drop coverage, and they're able to get the backdoor stuff, and they're getting contributions from a lot of guys. And I don't know. With this Tennessee team, I just think they are really susceptible to like offensive lulls, right? And I think that the way that Kentucky's defense has been better as of late, I think that they could be susceptible to that. Now, on the flip side of that, Tennessee's defense is still the real deal. So they can muck things up, I think, for Kentucky on the other hand. So I don't know. I'm still very torn on which way I'm going to lean in this one. I'm hoping to get to it by the end of the preview.
So, to your point, Kentucky's defense in the window that you asked me about, what was that, since February 25th?
Yeah.
Kentucky's defense is all the way up to 23rd nationally per Torvik in the last 8 games. That is a complete heel turn from the defense we saw and made fun of in January and February. And I think it is real. I know there's been some Kentucky accounts that have like tagged us and been like, stop saying our defense is bad. Look at this, look at this, look at this. I'm looking at it. I think that it's real. I think this defense has turned a corner. It's still not a great defense. Like, I guess that's the thing for me. Like celebrating, oh, we're the 23rd best defense. Like, okay, still probably not national title good. That's kind of an issue, but it's a lot better than it was. And you can win a Sweet 16 game against Tennessee with the 23rd best defense in the country. The important note for me here is that both of Kentucky's previous wins against Tennessee happened without a key piece.
Mhm.
They beat Tennessee by 11 without Jackson Robinson. All the players that are going to be active in this game were active when they beat Tennessee by 11. In Knoxville, they won that game without Lamont Butler. Now they still had Robinson, but like we haven't seen like the healthy Kentucky win these games. It's been the team that's fighting through adversity has still had enough to beat Tennessee. I think we're going to see a very confident version of Kentucky that is kind of smiling that they get to play this Tennessee team again.
Yeah, I mean they got to feel like they're in a good spot and feel confident, especially I'm not saying that they were in a bad spot, but also they're somewhat playing with house money at a certain point here. I think a lot of people were fading Kentucky, thinking Kentucky wouldn't be here, thinking Mark Pope couldn't win tournament games, and now he finds himself in a Sweet 16 in year one with Kentucky.
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been really,
Good.
really good. Um, what does Tennessee need to do to flip the script?
Mm. I'm trying to think what I want to touch on first here. I, I think that obviously Chaz Lanier is going to be very important. Like that's a given, right? But what makes this Tennessee team dangerous is when the other guys are able to contribute as well, right? Like it's Lanier it's Lanier combined with getting something from Ziegler without the turnovers and with a really good with some good shooting. Jordan Gainey being a piece off the bench where he can score the basketball. Igor Milicic being productive at his spot as well. And then I think Tennessee also having like Jemai Mashack is like the I can put it on this guy and shut that guy down. That would help massively. And looking at Kentucky's team, you think Tennessee put Jemai Mashack on Ortega Owe and tell Jemai Mashack to shut him down. And I think that hurts this Kentucky team.
Yeah, he's capable. I'm looking through the games. Owe was good in both games, I would say. Not great, but like 13, 14 points. He hasn't been shut down. So, yeah, I don't know. The story of these first two games, it's kind of overly simple, but Tennessee just couldn't make a shot. And at the time, we kind of called that extreme luck because this was before Kentucky's defensive resurgence. This was when Kentucky was giving up a bunch of threes, not guarding the line well, and Tennessee just couldn't capitalize. Like in the loss at Rupp Arena, Tennessee shot 3 for 18 from three, 16% as a team. Chaz Lanier was 0 for 7 from three. And then in the other loss against Kentucky, they were 24% from three. You remember they shot 45 threes, made 11 of 45 threes. So I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, I don't think I'd be surprised if Tennessee shoots poorly again here because I think there's some mental hurdle to get over against this Kentucky team for these guys right now. But I also feel like they should believe they're going to shoot better than that. And if they shoot 35% in one of the first two games from three, they win those games. They don't lose those games. So does it just come down to shot making for Tennessee?
It does. That doesn't make me feel good though, because I don't think I can depend on Tennessee shot making. They can do it, but I'm not banking on it. This team has a tendency to do like the whole cold offensive streak thing.
Has been a story in the NCAA tournament the last couple of years. There's always a
But
game where they just go cold.
and that's how they buy out typically.
Typically, yes, you're right. Chaz Lanier in the two Kentucky games, 8 for 27 from the floor, 29%. Hard for him to play much worse than that. What do you expect Lanier to do in this game?
I expect him to have a good game. I do. I think that, he's too good of a scorer and too good of a player. Like I know we just brought up like it's hard to beat a team three times, but like also just like individual player stuff. I think it's hard for Chaz Lanier to just have three bad games against Kentucky, even with Kentucky's improved defense. It's still not a juggernaut.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Lanier basically had two of his three or four worst games of the season against Kentucky. And I'm sure part of that was forced, give Kentucky credit, but some of it wasn't. I remember watching those games. Like he was missing looks he makes a lot. And in the last month, he's played his best basketball. He has four Ken Pom MVPs in the last 6 games, 20 points against UCLA, 29 against Wofford, 23 against Texas, 23 against South Carolina. So I don't know. You do flip that. The two best teams they've played in this stretch, he had 11 against Florida and 12 against Auburn. Maybe that says something about Lanier. And in a big moment, do you really trust him? I don't know. Like, what is your trust level in Lanier as a player, as a star?
It's twofold. I trust him because I think the talent is there. Also, I do think that the whole like big game thing might actually have some merit to it.
Yeah, I agree. I sort of just think he's a guy that gets spooked too easily, and I think that might play a factor here because I don't know about you. I don't watch Kentucky. I don't watch what they did to Illinois or any of their other big games this year. I've never seen that team get spooked, other than when Calipari came to Rupp. That was the one time that team was spooked.
And Calipari is not the coach of Tennessee, right?
And he's not. And according to you, Cal will be bounced by the time this game begins. So,
Yeah, he
yeah,
will be.
yeah, okay. Anything else on this?
Rick Barnes is still the coach of Tennessee, right?
He is.
When is Rick gonna get over the hump?
He deserves it, to be honest.
He does.
Rick Barnes has made the second weekend now in 3 consecutive seasons. He had made it once in the prior 14 years. and he's now made it 3 consecutive years. So I would argue he's over the hump. It's just, is he going to get to a Final Four?
Right. What I mean by over the hump is like this team consistently like finishes like top 10, top 5 in Ken Palm, but just hasn't reached the Final Four.
Finishing top five consistently is a really good thing, though.
Yeah, it is.
Usually that means if you're not making a Final Four, it's a matter of time, not the other way around.
Is this the time?
I don't think so.
Really? Because you just think Kentucky's playing too well?
That and Houston's waiting for him,
Ah, very true. That's very true.
unless Purdue can pull an upset. But I don't know. All right, let's get to predictions. But just actually put a bow on that. Which coach do you trust more in this game?
Rick Barnes.
Why?
Rick Barnes has never lost to Duquesne.
Mark Pope has expelled a lot of the March ghosts.
Yeah, he also went up against Troy and Brad Underwood.
That's a good point. It's a pretty good point. Okay. Uh,
That's a great draw for Kentucky. He's just facing a bunch of coaches who have not exercised demons.
it's a pretty good draw. It is. Yeah. And a team you beat twice already. I'll go on record. I trust Pope more than Barnes here. Uh, look, hand up. I'll talk directly to Kentucky fans for a moment. Was I preying on your downfall? A little bit. A little bit, yeah. Because I thought it would have been really funny, really just entertaining, if you fired Cal or ran him out for March stuff, and then he made a Sweet 16 and Pope didn't. I thought that would have been hilarious. Meanwhile, Kevin Young, BYU, has his team in the Sweet 16. It just would have been really funny. It's not funny now because it didn't happen, and now I just have to like give credit where credit's due. Pope's done a phenomenal job with this Kentucky team. They were completely ready for that Illinois matchup. Thought they were a dominant team in that game. Could have won by more, honestly. And I think there is some stuff to this team being fearless in big moments. The only time I've seen them be spooked was really that weird Rupp Arena game. And that was a one of one all time weird spot.
Right.
Everything else, this team passes the test in the bright lights. I think they got vets. I think they got dudes that are just playing with a desperation to continue their careers. I think Pope is an offensive genius. And I think if we're being honest about it, part of Kentucky's success against Tennessee this year is that Pope has Barnes' number right now. I wouldn't feel good about Rick Barnes doing something he hasn't done yet this season in order to survive in advance.
Yeah. Can I ask you one last question before we get to prediction?
Yes, you can.
Obviously, Ken Palm tells us Tennessee's the better team. By a solid margin, like 10 spots higher. So like that, I feel like that once you get in like a 10 spot range, you're pretty higher metrically than another team. You watch both these teams throughout the whole season. Why body of work? Who's the better basketball team?
I think it's Tennessee.
That's my answer.
Tennessee beat Florida, beat Alabama, beat Auburn again. They went 3-3 against the big three boys. That's pretty impressive to me.
That is, and that's what keeps. And because I actually like Kentucky's run so far, and I like the changes they made, and I like what they become. I just think Tennessee's the better basketball team. That doesn't equate to it. Better basketball teams lose. Cliche me. But I just can't shake the fact that I think Tennessee's the better basketball team in this game.
After starting the season, basically winning every single big game they had, Kentucky ended the season losing their last 3 games against Ken Palm top 10 opponents. Lost to Alabama twice, lost to Auburn. So I don't know. The big game stuff, like obviously Illinois was a big game, but it's been a while since Kentucky's beaten a Studley team. The last time that happened was Tennessee, February 11th at Rupp.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get to predictions. Ken Palm says Tennessee favored by 4. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that number. I think that Tennessee wins. I'll say no, I'll get them in the 80. I'm gonna go Tennessee 82, Kentucky 77.
You and I disagree on almost everything this Sweet 16 weekend. It scares me because we agreed about so much in the first weekend that something's got to give, and now I'm really terrified. Might be the sleep deprivation getting to me. I am all over Kentucky money line to win this game. I think they're the better team. The matchup favors them, as evidenced by the first two wins. I trust their vets more than I trust Chaz Lanier. I trust their coach more than I trust
Well, you
Rick
just told
Barnes.
Tennessee was the better team.
They are over a 30 game sample size. This ain't 30 games.
Okay.
This is who's better for 40 minutes. The team that's already beat them twice or the team that hasn't. And I
Fair.
think part of Kentucky's thing this year, truly to me, is do they have a matchup or do they not? Like they went 0-3 against Alabama. I think they could play Alabama 10 more times and lose every time. I think they could play Tennessee 10 more times and win every time. It's about where I'm at. And I think it's a disrespectful line, to be honest with you. Not that these guys are paying attention to that, but we're 4 point underdogs against the team we beat twice.
It's a little crazy.
I'll just scoop that up every time I can get it. I'm going Kentucky. You're going Tennessee. We'll have a recap up when it's done. Should be a wildly entertaining game.
It is March, and that means that March Madness is upon us. And if you are looking for a place to play, Underdog Fantasy has you covered. Sign up and deposit using code SLEEPERS, that's code SLEEPERS, to receive up to $1,000 in bonus credit plus a free pick. Head over to Underdog Fantasy today and use promo code SLEEPERS to take advantage of this amazing offer.